All right, I'm going to go ahead and open the meeting of the Town of Paxton Board of Selectmen. It is 12:05 at 7:06 p.m. and we're here for the tax classification hearing. With all that said, we are meeting by Zoom, so please keep that in mind. And this meeting is being recorded. Kateri, the floor is yours.
Okay. So everyone received their packets?
Yes.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. So, as you know, this is done annually. The packet is very similar, just the numbers have changed this year. So we're going to be voting on a couple of things tonight. Number one, the tax rate, and whether or not we're going to have a single rate or take in Chapter 797 tax formula. So we can go down the list here. So sections A and B on the tax formula sheet show using factor 1 with the total tax levy. Well, it shows the total levy at, and it shows the total fair cash value of the homes of all the property, 706,088,541. And with the tax levy, that comes out to a taxable amount of $17.58 per thousand. Down below, it shows the breakdown of between residential, commercial, industrial, and personal property. Same numbers, it just shows the percentages, and they all do total 100%. So that's sections A and B on the sheet. Now, going down, so that would be a $17.58 per thousand for taxes. Going down to section C shows Chapter 797, which would be a split tax rate. So it does show the minimum residential factor for commercial, industrial, and personal property. Their 3.9918% share of the total levy would actually end up equaling 5.9877. So that would actually equal a rate of, in section F of, section H, of lowering it to 1721 for residential, and it would increase it to 2637 for commercial, industrial, and personal property. Any questions so far?
What is the, if we don't do it this way, what is the rate for commercial?
I just said that. I just said it would be $26.37.
Okay.
Would be the rate for commercial, industrial, and personal property. And the residential would go down to 1721. So it is a big, we'd be decreasing the residential by 37 cents, and we'd be increasing the commercial, industrial, and personal property by $8.79. So their adjusted class would be $26.37.
Yep, okay.
To my knowledge, we have never had a split rate in town. However, that is strictly up to the select board on what they choose to do. I'm just presenting all of the numbers to you. So yeah, so it would be significant for the commercial, industrial, and personal property. Property owners in town. Now, in comparison, so section K on this shows the average valuation of a residential home for fiscal 23 will be $412,578. So by comparison, Kirk, with a residential rate of $17.58 per thousand, the average tax bill would be about $7,253. You decrease that if you choose the Chapter 797, and it would go down to $64,6944. So about $785. It's a 2% decrease in the overall, I should say. Compared to commercial, their average valuation is $453,734. At the single rate, their average tax bill would be $79,7664. However, if we split the tax rate, it will be $12,917.97. So a significant increase for those property holders. Any questions so far?
No questions.
Okay. Okay, so we have to vote, or the select board needs to vote on 4 questions here. Question 1 would be the use of factor 1 versus chapter 797 tax formula to determine the tax rate. And like I said, under factor 1, it's $17.58. Which, by the way, is a decrease from last year by $1.40, because last year's tax rate was $18.98 per thousand, versus the Chapter 97 formula, which would bring it to $17.21 for residential and $26.37 for commercial, industrial, and personal property.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion for either factor 1 or chapter 797 tax formula to determine our tax rate.
I'll make a motion to go with factor 1 versus the split rate.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I think it's critical while we're trying to build new business in town, not trying to run them out by overtaxing them with it that big of an increase right up front. So
yeah,
that's what prompted me to feel I needed to make that motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
I absolutely hear that. All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, we're going to do a roll call. Carol?
Aye.
Kirk?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. So we'll stick with factor 1.
Okay. Okay, question 2 is an open space discount for factor 1. So a municipality can apply a discount of up to 25% of open space. The open space discount reduces taxes on property classified as open space and shifts those taxes onto the residential class. It cannot include properties that have produced any income or have a conservation restriction. So that is question 2.
Great. I don't believe that we have previously, at least not in my tenure, had an open space discount. I'll entertain a motion for question 2.
I'll make a motion to not have an open space discount.
Excellent. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Carol?
Yes. Aye.
Kirk? Kirk, you there?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. Perfect. All right, moving on to
None of us-
question
none
number
of us
3.
had your mute.
Okay, question 3 is a residential exemption. We could vote to, under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 5C, at the option of the Select Board, an exemption of not more than 20% of the average assessed value of all Class 1 residential parcels may be applied to the residential parcels that are the principal residence of the property taxpayer as used by the taxpayer for state income tax purposes as of January 1, 2022.
All right, so this is really applies mostly to vacation homes.
Yes, it does.
And in my tenure, we have not had a residential exemption. I'll
No.
entertain a motion for question number 3.
I'll make a motion to not have a residential or a non-residential exemption.
Second,
Perfect. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Carol,
aye.
Kirk,
Aye.
and I will vote aye. All right, last question.
Okay, so last question is with respect to a commercial exemption. It permits, under certain circumstances, local officials to give preferential treatment to commercial properties occupied by small businesses. Under General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5I, a Board of Selectmen may now decide annually to exempt up to 10% of the value of Class 3 commercial parcels that are occupied by businesses with an average annual employment of no more than 10 people at all locations during the previous calendar year. If adopted, it has the effect of reducing property taxes on properties occupied by small businesses and shifting those taxes onto other commercial and industrial properties.
Okay. So in my tenure, again, we have not had a commercial exemption. I will entertain a motion on question 4.
I'll make a motion to not have a commercial exemption.
Is there a second?
Second,
Great,
second,
thank you. I'll take a roll call. All in favor, Carol,
aye.
Kirk,
Aye.
and I will vote aye. So we will not have a commercial exemption.
I believe those are the only questions that you 3 had to answer for this evening. Any other questions on any of these numbers here?
I have none.
I've got a question.
Yeah,
Kateri, can you tell us what's the average assessed home percentage went up by?
yes. So the average assessed residential home, yes, for fiscal 23, it's the average, it averages out to $412,578.
But what's the average, what's the increase from the previous year?
Oh,
On our
so
assessed
last
assessment.
year, hold on.
I mean,
Last year, our average was 371.
I understand that. I'm saying of the assessed values of a single family home,
Overall assessed values?
yeah, what is the average increase for the assessments?
So overall, we've gone up over 10% from last year's. So so if we look at the total value of all single family homes in town, the overall value for fiscal 22, we had 565 million, 075,700. This year, it's 636 million, 196,600. That's about a 12.6% increase. There were some decreases where you know, two families were involved. There was some increases and decreases in the other, you know, categories. But overall, we were at a 12% increase overall for all residential properties. 0.7% increase on commercial, and personal property, 8.3% increase. So, yeah, I mean, this is all based on sales, and we did a thorough analysis based on all of last year's sales. We actually had to go into part of 2020, which we were able to do because there weren't enough sales in certain categories.
Mhm.
So,
So, if you, so a resident with a property, they can expect for their assessment to have gone up by about 10%. Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
yes. I mean, for instance, hold on, I sent to someone, well, for instance, my home went up. I was at about, you know, 550,000 last year. And now my personal residence is about 607. So overall, you know, tax implication wise for me personally is about $240 a year. So, between $60 and $80.
So even though, and I know
Quarter.
this, but even though the tax rate's gone down,
Yes,
payers are gonna
yes.
expect to
I
pay
mean,
more.
there's another person that I looked into hers for her, she had asked, and they had, their impact is about $125 overall for the year. Their value went from, let me look, hold on. Their value went from 355 to 391. So it's about $120, $119 difference in overall taxes.
And I recall last year, there was a lot of the smaller homes that got a really huge impact from.
Yes, it's based on sales. So last year, what got hit hard were the ranches
Mm-hmm.
and two families. This year, it seems to be somewhat across the board.
Okay.
So when I printed out a comparison report today, so our two families stayed steady. We had our three families stayed steady. Condos were a 0.2% increase. The vacant land, so some of our vacant land shifted because some of them went to tax exempt entities. So there was a shift there in the vacant land. Because several parcels went to tax exempt entities.
Okay.
And there was a few vacant parcels that went to chapter land. And industrial stayed even. Let's see here. Just going down the list. Commercial went up 2.3%. Yeah, I mean, there were increases in different areas, and some level and some decreases.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
Yeah, like I said, like total commercial went up 0.7, personal property 8.3%. So overall, when you average it out, so total real and personal property went up 11.6% across the board.
Wow.
I can send out to the Board of Selectmen if they want the comparison report. Just so, you know, if you want to look further into it.
That'd be nice to have, Kateri.
Oh, okay. I think I might make this part of the packet going forward, this,
Yeah.
this comparison report, because it compares one year to the next. So
Yeah.
it is kind of nice. I'd say though, it's better to zero in on the totals of that instead of each, you know, category. Because the shifts in some of them, when you're taking something out of, you know, vacant land and then you're gonna have it as residential land, because somebody's building a house on it, or if it's coming out of vacant land and into, you know, not tax exempt. So there's those pluses and minuses there. So it's it is easier to look at the totals, but I will send this out. You know, I sent it to Heather this afternoon, so I will forward it out. But I think in the future, I'm going to make it part of the packet. I think it is easier to look at this.
That'd be good information.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's good information because when we get out questions, then it's good information to have, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And after the first of the year, I'll be posting information in my office. So, and I'm sure, like last year, I'm going to be getting a lot of phone calls
Mm.
from a lot of concerned residents. And we do look at, you know, anyone who wants to file an abatement is free to file an abatement, and we look at all of them very carefully. So, we'll just take it as the calls and abatement applications come in.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you.
Kirk, do you have
So,
any questions?
Your hard work.
before we adjourn, who is available to come in and sign the LA5 tomorrow?
I will be in.
Julia,
I'll be back
Carol?
in town tomorrow afternoon, late afternoon.
Oh, you're going to be in town late afternoon?
Yeah,
Okay.
by 3 o'clock.
Yeah, I need
3:30.
2 of the 3. I'll sign it electronically tonight. I need 1 other Board of Assessor to sign it, so I'll have Dory sign it. And then the town clerk needs to see the video here,
Mhm.
the recording, and then she'll sign off on it. And then I'll print it out for at least 2 of the 3 of you to sign.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem, Terry.
Okay, I'll have it, I'll give it to Donna to
Okay.
sign. So it will be in her office.
Okay.
All right, excellent. So, anything further, Kirk?
Nothing beyond last night was awesome in town. Maybe the best ever Christmas tree lighting I've been to in a long time. So kudos to everyone who worked so hard to make that happen.
I heard it was amazing. I unfortunately couldn't attend because after the reschedule, it conflicted with a family event that we had, but I heard it was amazing. And I don't know if anybody saw Rudolph, but I heard that was
Yes.
awesome.
It was good. Really enjoyed it.
Pikachu for a while.
I don't know how they're gonna top that next year.
Surely be working on it.
Yep. Yep, very good. All right, so if there's nothing further, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Will you be entertaining questions from the public?
Yeah, if you have a question about the tax classification hearing, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know the new rate is 1758 for the single rate. What was last year's rate?
1898.
Okay, so the home evaluations went up, but the rate's going down to
Yes.
balance with the budgetary needs of the town. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Can I pose a question? Kateri,
Sure.
what was the average tax bill for the average single-family home a year ago compared to what it's going to be now?
Okay, so so last year, our average, you'd have to ask that, and I'm not in the office and I don't have last year's packet. Actually, I may. Last year's average was 371, no, 367, 171 times the tax rate. So $69.68 would have been the average tax bill last year based on that.
Yeah. And how about this year?
So this year, it is going to be 72.53. So the new average value is 412,578.
So roughly $300.
Yeah,
Yeah, 200 to 300.
Okay. And you spoke about a package. How can others, other than the Board of Selectmen, get a copy of this package? And has there been consideration of sharing the package with other committees like the Finance Committee and the Capital Improvement Planning Committee?
No, these numbers come straight from the information that the Board of Assessors, well, I put into DLS Gateway. So this is based on a sales review, a sales analysis, and the average sales.
For the
Because
purposes of just this packet, Kateri, though, it's public information, Mark, so you can get it from.
I
them.
can, I can certainly send them a copy.
Julie,
Or
we
at
can
least-
put them on, we can put it on the website, Mark.
Yeah.
That way anyone who wants it can have access to it.
Right, yeah,
No
Yeah,
problem.
that'd be great.
Very
it's
easy.
not restricted in any way.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
No,
for those of us that didn't have benefit of the package this evening, it was difficult to follow.
yeah.
So
now,
having.
I don't know, so historically, I don't recall the assessors putting this out there to the public. I know last year, because we were in a certification year, all values of all properties had to be posted for 7 full days and wait for comment from any taxpayer or any property owner before we could even set a classification hearing. And then everything was put together. There was no comments. The, Division of Local Services okayed, numbers, because there's a lot of documents that have to go in to them to approve. And once that was approved, because they approve the total value. So once that is approved, and once we have the go-ahead on that, then we can set the tax rate. And then we can put everything together to set the tax rate. So it's not something that I'm going to seek approval of finance or anybody else, because it's stuff that my office has to do internally. And it's just going through the standard motions of, doing the sales analysis of all the sales. A lot of it is based on that. There was some neighborhoods there were some neighborhood adjustments this year. There weren't too many adjustments in land, vacant land, but there were neighborhood adjustments. So we haven't had too many vacant land sales. So those stayed kind of flat. But when there's neighborhood adjustments, that, those affect the values of the houses.
I believe Mark's only asking for a copy of the the information that you provided tonight so that he could follow
Yeah,
along.
I can certainly
Right.
give that to him. Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
usually we meet in person. If somebody was in the audience and asked for that.
Yeah, and
info-
I had extras in my folder here,
Yeah.
so. If someone had reached out last week or even earlier today to me, I would have been more than happy to send it out.
I think that's, and maybe in the future.
Because I have it all
we-
electronic and I scanned it in as a PDF. I'm more than happy to send it out.
Mhm.
So, Terry, maybe next year when we post the public hearing, if the package is available, we could post that at the same
Yeah,
time.
absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
all Mark's saying, I believe.
Mhm.
Just di-
Absolutely.
It's just difficult for him to follow along.
Right.
Is that
Thank
right?
you.
Mark?
Anything else?
No, nothing here. All right. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn. I think Kirk is trying to make the motion to adjourn.
I'll say,
Okay, all in favor, Carol?
Aye.
Kirk? Excellent. I'll vote aye. We are adjourned.